Okay, we are live. Finally! Hey guys, this is Brad and Mike with Dallas Geek, and we're finally on after a little bit of, we'll say technical difficulties trying to get this started. But that's kind of par for the course, it seems. We need at least one every now and then. So, isn't that right, Mike?
Now and then? Every now and then?
Yeah, let's say every now and then. But with that, guys, thank you for joining us. It does look like we got a couple of y'all already on the stream with us, so thank you for that. There we go. Turns out there was room for one more minor technical difficulty. Me not turning down the speaker on my tablet.
Did you just break your own fourth wall? Is that what just happened?
I think so. Yeah. I broke something. So,
yeah.
With that, hey, so if you guys have not joined us before, thank you so very, very much. We do appreciate it. If you have not already, please do not forget to like the video and follow us on Facebook, or to like the video and subscribe.
What are you pointing at?
There should be a little button, a little red button right about here on YouTube.
I don't see anything.
You're looking at the wrong place. Wrong place.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, so, anyway, let's go ahead and jump on in. So today, we are back, this time with another review. It's been a little while since we've done one. Figured it was about time, especially since Disney Plus has officially finished the third attempt at a final season for Clone Wars. So, yeah, Mike, what do we think?
I don't know, I didn't watch it.
Wow. I think if I actually believed you, I would be about to kill you right now. But luckily, I know you love Star Wars way too much to actually leave me high and dry on this one.
I do love Star Wars too much, as I'm wearing a non-Star Wars related shirt because I wore them all last week while at work for May the 4th. It was, the term roller coaster is used too much, and it's too much of a cliche, but holy hell was it a roller coaster. And I mean that because, we'll get into it here in a minute, but it started off strong. It hit a hard lull that almost made me want to jump off my roof and take a nosedive into the parking lot outside, and then holy hell did it ramp back up for the finale. Yeah. I'd say it was definitely the shortest season that they've had, but it was probably also one of the strongest ones overall. Yes.
And yes, just before anybody tries jumping in the comments and pointing it out, the first of the 3 story arcs for the season, The Bad Batch, was technically released in storyboard form, with some rough recordings early on, after the show was originally canceled for the second time. So we did already have an idea that this was a story that they were planning on telling, but they made some revisions after that original concept, so it very much is still a unique story, even for anybody that's like deeply analyzed the original cut.
How many times was the show canceled, Brad?
Canceled twice. We've officially had 3 separate final seasons to Clone Wars, but I think since this season actually does go to the same end point in the timeline as Revenge of the Sith, I think this qualifies as the official final season. So yeah,
this show is harder to kill than Community.
Which do you think they're actually going to get a movie out of it? Honestly,
that is a different topic for a different day where we have the censor button available for us. Because I have lots of thoughts about that.
Fair enough. Okay, so real quick, we're going to jump into our spoiler-ish review of all 3 story arcs. So, if you have not finished the season already, please jump off now. Do not blame us if anything past this point is, you know, a little too spoilery for you. We will try not to give too many things away, but we will be going light spoilers right now. So, with that, spoiler warning, please don't blame us if you haven't seen it. Yeah, so, with that,
yes.
Bad Batch.
Yes.
Mike, initial thoughts?
Yeah, so I never saw the storyboards when they were originally released. I didn't really know too much about this story arc before I sat down and watched last night. Well, not last night, but I started it on Sunday, finished it last night.
Yep.
The season, that is. It was really good. It was really cool to kind of see that final, I don't want to say bow, wrapped on what was going on in the original run with some of the characters, but it was nice to finally get that sense of finality.
Yes.
If that makes sense for some of them.
Yes.
Kind of see their stories come full circle. Characters that we, God, I don't want to sound old, but say grew up with. I mean, because when you think about it, geez, when did the show originally start?
That's a very good question. You keep talking, I'll double check.
Yeah, so I mean, can we say character names? I mean, are you okay with that?
Yes, that would definitely count as light spoiler. 2008.
Okay. Oof.
Yes.
Yeah,
so officially, this started 2008, and if you want to talk Clone Wars overall, the extra short, like
weren't
traditional
those like 2004?
Animated. That was let's see, that one was 2003. So,
wow.
I mean,
Jeez.
overall,
okay,
we've been getting the Clone Wars story for
almost
very long
2
time.
decades. Yeah, almost 2 decades. Jeez. Hell, I feel old now. But no, it was cool to see the search for Echo, and we get to see that old squadron kind of get their final little story run together before we ramp up into what ended up being the final arc.
Yeah.
But yeah, to see those characters kind of finally get their, I don't want to say happy ending, because we know it ain't a happy ending.
No.
But I guess to get some sense of, like I said, it's there to see them not we remember like
willingness to develop the side.
Right.
I mean, it really was unique to the Clone Wars. That matters. Yeah.
Secondary characters matter, especially when you know the destination that we're going.
Always stuck out to me about the series. Like, season 1, and we get enough time during that story to that as they had no redeeming qualities about them beyond the fact that they look. This series, we really got to see the culmination of that in the final season, and honestly, even though this entire 7th season was focused on everybody but Anakin and Obi-Wan, so we were getting the wrap up of everybody else's stories because their stories got wrapped up in Revenge of the Sith. It was nice during and especially at the beginning of the Bad Batch storyline, where we did get a little extra in a familial sense than what we even got to see before, and we did get to see one aspect of the story that kind of filled in a bit of a sort of but not really plot hole in Revenge of the Sith, which was how quickly it seemed that Padme was just suddenly pregnant and now she's giving birth, and oh my gosh, what the heck happened. And in this, we got to see from the very first episode that there was build-up behind the scenes. So there was awareness of the characters for all of this, and it's just, the worst kept secret amongst their little group of friends, essentially. And it was also really nice to see that little addition to Obi-Wan's character where he clearly knew what was going on, to some extent at least, but he didn't seem to care because he cared more about Anakin than he did upholding the Jedi bottom line, essentially. So
yeah,
that part was kind of nice.
So that's something that also comes up with Ahsoka, is that Clone Wars did, I feel like, bring out a lot of the flaws that the Jedi Order had.
Yeah.
And the bureau, and the fact that even they got sucked up into the politics and the bureaucracy. And it's something that comes up several times, especially in this final season.
Yeah.
Where they're, not to jump ahead, but there's several points where, like, Ahsoka brings it up, and you can even tell that Obi-Wan's conflicted about it. He's like, hey, it's not fair that you're saying that we're playing politics right now. But he acknowledges that they are, in fact, playing politics. Yeah.
And, I mean, that's kind of the thing that the second story arc really addressed. But before we do jump into that, there is one more piece of the Bad Batch that I want to really recognize and appreciate for a second. And that's the fact that when everybody has tried to say, Clone Wars, the stories could get dark, but they never really got that dark. It was still a kid's show. That very first episode of the Bad Batch storyline, the first and second, honestly, you want to talk about going dark instantly. You immediately jump into a storyline where you get to see, hey, this clone that we thought has been dead for a couple seasons now is suddenly alive, but he has been essentially scooped out with a spoon by the Techno Union and turned into a living computer. And you want to go dark. That sets the tone for the entire season. And I know you weren't a fan of the Ahsoka storyline for that second story arc in the season, but I actually appreciated it. Yeah, there was but I will, because we do have to acknowledge the fact that Star Wars stories, the TV shows and the movies, we can't assume that the majority of the audience also reads the books. This story arc for me was just the Clone Wars trying to re-add the same general concepts that Ahsoka's book was able to contribute to her character development, about showing the personal cost to the general public of the Jedi and how completely ignorant the Jedi were of the actions that they were taking and what they were leaving behind. And I don't know if we can really ignore the significance of that, as kind of ham-fisted as it was at times, because the sisters could have been written a little bit better. I think adding in that little extra piece for anybody that didn't read the book, to be able to see that, yes, the Jedi weren't really well known to the public before the Clone Wars, so most of the public didn't know that the Jedi were typically peacekeepers, so all the majority of the people in the galaxy knew about the Jedi was they called themselves peacekeepers, but they usually left a massive destruction in their wake, and they didn't ever come back to check on the people who were damaged in their attempts to keep the peace. And I think even if it was slightly clumsily done in parts, I think that was a very important thing to add to the story.
Oh, slightly. Wow, you're being way more generous than I am. No, look, I get what they were going for, but it's like, I get it, but good God, is it that hard to write likable secondary characters? Clearly it's not, because you just made an entire series about it. but oh, those two sisters were so insufferable. Oh God, I thought I hated Jar Jar.
Wow, you're tossing them down at Jar Jar levels of hatred. That is impressive.
So I can at least pass off Jar Jar because that was Lucas losing his damn mind. But these are competent storytellers and competent writers that came up with these characters. Like, it was... like, honestly, and I get it. Look, I do. I get that we needed to see where Ahsoka was both mentally and emotionally after leaving the Order, because other than the books, we don't see her again until Rebels, which is...
Yeah, absolutely.
God, what is that? At least like a 10-year time jump? If not more?
Ish?
Yeah. So, I mean, so in terms of media, what most people see of her is she walks out on the Order. Was that a season 4, season 5?
4.
Yeah. And then we don't see her again until the end of Rebels season 1. So we don't really see her grow as a person. We don't see her... Now, I get what they were going for. I do. I get we had to see her kind of experience the world and see the world through people's eyes that view the Jedi not as these people that they put up on a pedestal. But there were so many points in that 4-episode arc where I just wanted to slam my head against the wall.
Sorry, let me... quick correction. It was season 5 where she was kicked out.
Okay, it was season 5. My bad. Okay.
Yeah.
But there were so many points where I'm just sitting there and I'm like, how dumb can you be? How dumb can you be? And then there were multiple points, like, I don't necessarily know if I like the way Ahsoka was portrayed in that 4-episode run, because there were points where she was just dumb as hell.
And it was 14 years between the end of Revenge of the Sith and Rebels. Wow.
Okay, yeah, so that's a good time jump.
Yeah.
But there were points where she completely and totally could have handled the situation, but didn't.
Yeah, and that...
And it's not really...
Yeah.
Like, you're sitting there watching, and you're like, okay, so let's just go ahead and push these guys off the ledge, or let's just go ahead and slam them up against the wall, and... They tried to jailbreak with a Jedi 4 times.
So, I can understand to a certain extent her trying to avoid using her powers. Initially, because before she found out what the sister's perspective on the Jedi was, she was very clearly under the general idea that use of the Force was so innately connected to her identity as a Jedi that trying to leave the Jedi Order behind completely, in her mind, meant she had to abandon her Force powers because she no longer could call herself a Jedi in any sense.
Sure, I get that.
But then after hearing their opinions on the Jedi, if she wanted to try to keep her new and only friend, I can also then understand her attempt to try to not use her powers unless it was absolutely 100% critical to keep them alive, because she didn't want to lose her friend because I'm a Jedi.
Right, so, but we didn't get that till episode 3 of that arc.
Sure.
Like that, there was so much of that felt like it didn't need to be there. Like there was so much that could have been whittled down to 2 episodes.
Yeah, honestly, it probably could. I mean, maybe 3 if they had focused a little bit more on the interpersonal relationship between Ahsoka and the younger sister. I'm totally blanking on her name, but yeah.
Trace.
Think so?
Trace and Rafa, I think, or...
Yeah. So yeah, no, I mean, maybe 3, but yeah, I could definitely understand 4 seems excessive, especially since one of those episodes, the jailbreak and then back in jail, just seemed repetitive.
And then you got the younger sister that's going to dump the drugs that they're running. Like, oh, well, I'm just going to fix the problem. Let me just dump the product. I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
So. Like, sorry, if I'm Ahsoka at that point, I grab her and throw her out the hall and be like, yep, go get it.
Well, yeah. So anyway...
It was... Again, I get what you're going for. You're trying to show the emotional growth to get you from where she was to where she ended up needing to be. But then she immediately jumps right back in and helps the Jedi Order.
Yeah, so I could definitely see how that could have been done a little bit more eloquently.
And you can argue that she wasn't really helping the Jedi. She was helping,
Bo-Katan.
Thank you. But she still went... She went and landed on their ship. She took her lightsabers back. She got her own squadron of the 501st.
Yeah.
Like, she was essentially a Jedi again.
Yeah.
Whether she wanted to call herself that or not. So it's almost like, well, we had all that emotional growth for nothing.
Yeah, well. But anyway, jumping into the final story arc of the three, we had the Siege of Mandalore, which, oh my gosh, this may be the strongest story arc in the franchise.
And just think of what it could have been
if you took... the series.
Yeah, think of what it could have been if you took 2 of those episodes away from the previous arc and gave it to this arc.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you spent more time on Mandalore.
So, I mean, I gotta say, part of what made this feel so viscerally satisfying for me is not only did we get the opportunity to just really spend some time with Darth Maul and what he was up to prior to Rebels, prior to Solo, his attempt to kind of get back into the underworld of the galaxy after escaping from being captured by Palpatine.
Brad, you're underplaying it. Darth Maul was the hero that we both needed and deserved.
But it was so satisfying for me just to know that the mocap for every piece of his fighting in this in his 4 episodes was 100% done by Ray Park. So we got the Darth Maul back. We got the physicality of Darth Maul with Sam Whittier or Whitworth there doing the voice. So the best of both Mauls together in a single digital character. It was fantastic.
I want to point out that Ray Park is 45 years old. That was a 45-year-old man doing that. What the hell have I done with my life?
Clearly not enough.
Clearly.
But yeah, I mean, it was amazing, and I freaking loved every bit of it.
Look, the Maul stuff was brilliant. It was so great to see him kind of brought back, because the character that everybody loves, that Lucas basically completely wasted, let's be honest.
Yeah.
All the shots at George today.
Well, I don't know. Remember, George was still running shotgun over Clone Wars when Darth Maul was reintroduced. So...
Was he that late into the game?
I mean, Filoni had more say at that point, but he was still there standing over his shoulder. So, oh yeah.
Huh.
Oh yeah.
Alright, I'll give you credit, George. You finally did something right. But... God, I really loved the dynamic of, you know, he's reintroduced in Rebels, he's reintroduced in Solo as this kind of underground crime lord, but then you really find out what he's actually doing.
Yeah.
And you really find out that he's pieced everything together.
Yeah.
And he sees it coming. And you're like, oh God, he's outsmarted everybody. Like, he's been literally just one step behind the Chancellor, or Sidious, you know, again, spoilers, sorry. But he's literally just been one step behind, where the Emperor's been playing everybody 3 and 4 steps behind. Maul's almost been up with him every step of the way.
Although I did find it very interesting that even though it was obvious that Maul had never been privy to all of Sidious's plans. The fact that he was able to puppeteer the galactic underworld so well that he basically positioned the entirety of the major crime syndicates for what they were going to become post-Republic, but still was never able to piece together the existence of what was going to become Order 66. I find that part genuinely fascinating, because it shows that there was limitation to his thinking, as well as his overall understanding of his former master. And so that really still opens up the door to the fact that we as the audience can be surprised, because there isn't some just messianic understanding that any of the characters have of the overarching plot, that they just know it all.
Right, but I did, like, yes, it was very deliberate, and it was very like, hey, he doesn't just know everything because he knows everything. He knows everything because he was a piece in it, and then he started looking at exactly what was happening throughout the galaxy, and he started actually, kind of like the spider web on the Kennedy assassination wall, where everything's connected by a wire. He just started piecing everything together to the point where he was like, it's coming, I know it's coming. He's like, very soon the galaxy will be completely and totally redefined and reshaped, but I don't know how.
Yeah.
But I know that these people are the piece.
So, no, that I just found fascinating, honestly, of all the story. But then to really end it off with that final episode. And, I mean, say what you will about the changes from the beginning of Ahsoka's book and how they ended the Clone Wars in the show. I actually appreciate the differences. The difference in Ahsoka's lightsaber colors, for example, adding in that last little kind of understated but still very insidious act of subtle manipulation by Anakin, trying to kind of force his will upon the people he supposedly cares about, because he just doesn't understand the concept of what a healthy relationship looks like. And then to see the change with how Rex is de-chipped and how the two of them escape, going from, well, they fight their way out on Mandalore, and then in the chaos of the battle they fake their deaths and go their separate ways so that they can't be hunted down, to actually see it like this, where they have to face the entire group of people they most care about, the parts of the 501st that Rex was closest to, the part of the 501st that Ahsoka was closest to, and who was so close to her and dedicated to her that they recreated their helmets to look like her.
Yep.
And then to have to realize that either they kill them or they die, and there is no third option. And seeing just the weight of that realization between the two of them was that was gutting.
So you talk about it like this is a kid's show. Number one, when Maul is let loose and is just running for the clone troopers, there was nothing kiddie about that.
No.
Like when he basically cut the guy's arm off just so he can get the radio, I was like, that's dope as hell. Excuse me. But that scene where they're in the bridge and Rex is saying, like, it doesn't matter, like, those men that you commanded that are my brothers are going to kill us if we don't kill them. And she takes his helmet off and she's like, I understand, but I won't be the one that kills them. She's like, these men are willing to die to enact Order 66, but I'm not going to be the one that does it. I was like, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Like, that is... Like, damn it. Like, that is deep.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. No.
And then that last shot with them on the moon surface, and they made the graves for all of them that perished in the crash. And it's all the helmets that look like her face, and she's just standing over them. I was like,
yeah. And honestly, I'm not even going to bother touching on the debate about when the post-credit scene with Vader actually happened in the timeline, whether that was immediately after or right before Rebels, or during Rebels, whatever. There's still even more that we could go into about exactly what happened with Maul and the former members of Death Watch on Mandalore. There's so much more that we can get into about the Bad Batch and the potential for being brought back for a future story, maybe because of this or this, they could have potentially survived. I mean, there's so much more that we could talk about, but honestly,
yes.
We are out of time, and
it was,
yeah.
Guys, it's 12 episodes. Each episode's about 25 to 26 minutes. You guys can power through it in a day. It'll only take about 4 hours. Go do
about
it.
23 minutes if you skip the previously on section. And yeah, it's worth it.
It is 100%. If you've invested any time into the Clone Wars, it is 100% worth it.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, I've said it before, but I will say it especially for this season in particular. Ashley Eckstein, this season really proved why she was one of, if not the best addition to the series and to really Star Wars overall. Like, to see her emotional contribution and weight that she gave to every one of her performances, I am so glad that she's been part of this, and I want to see more of her. So if we can get like an Ahsoka series or something where we can just get more of her, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, look, with everything that came out of this last season, like, there's so many different places that they can take follow-up series, sequel series.
Yeah.
We could go back to Rebels, because, I mean, Filoni's already said that he's got an idea for where he would take a sequel series to Rebels. Yeah. There's so many possibilities, and there's so many places that they can go. Like, it's just sitting here thinking about it is like, oh.
Yeah. So, with that, guys, if you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it. We definitely appreciate you sticking through the earlier technical difficulties. And yeah, once again, if you have not already, please don't forget to like the video and follow us on Facebook. And don't forget to like the video if you're watching us over on YouTube, and hit the little red subscribe button that should be right about here on the screen. We absolutely appreciate that, and of course we would really appreciate if you share us with your friends. We'd love to get them into the conversation and get their thoughts on all this too. And final piece, question of the day for everybody who has finished Season 7 of Clone Wars. Please tell us in the comments, what did you think? Did you like it? Did you not? What was your favorite part if you did like it? And yeah, just tell us all of it.
Really quick before we go, Brad's usually in charge of a lot of our social media stuff, but moving forward, things might be a little bit different.
For which part? Let's tell everybody which part specifically.
I haven't decided yet, Red. You're no longer in the picture.
Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. And until next time, this has been Brad and Mike with Dallas Geek saying, see ya.